Reddit reports. Like, subscribe and hit the bell. What makes you immediately lose romantic interest in someone?
When you come to them with a problem and they turn it into a conversation about them. I've been trying to get better at this. It was the only way I knew how to relate, but I realize I don't always need to relate. A solution isn't always needed. I don't have to be able to relate to something. I just need to be supportive of their feelings and listen. I have a friend that is really good at this. Whenever I'm talking with her about a problem or something that's bothering me, she is always super supportive. She doesn't say things like maybe try, or I would. She's super mindful and I want to be able to do the same for her. Edit. This is a thread where people are supposed to respond with their thoughts on a subject, so yes, this comment is about my thoughts on a subject mentioned in this threads.
If someone tells you about a similar experience they had, and they relate it back, that's okay. If someone has a solution, I am all for that. I just don't like it when I have a problem, then they start talking about unrelated shit, make themselves upset, wind up crying, then claim it's because they are empathic and I should not bring that kind of energy to them. I think that's some bullshit. If someone you care about needs help, help.
When you realize they only listen to reply, not to understand.
If they constantly make you feel bad for them. Felt so bad and was so worried about him for so long that the one time I needed the emotion I couldn't have it.
Fishing for pity is not attractive. If someone is telling me something sad, fine. If someone is telling sad things so I will feel bad for them, manipulative sympathy, then I cannot get out of there fast enough.
I had a very straightforward conversation with a girl when I was young where she point blank told me I turned her off hardcore because I wasn't being confident and I was feeling sorry for myself. One of those sledgehammer moments where you cringe to think about how embarrassed you were then, but how grateful you are that someone told you like it was and you learned a lesson.
Talking at you, not with you.
Yes, to me a conversation is a back and forth activity. I just quit seeing a guy who never let me respond to anything when I did. He wouldn't even respond and kept blathering on.
Those people who just keep talking about themselves get so tiring. I need somebody who also asks questions and listens to my responses to keep the conversation more balanced. It's amazing how common this is. 5-ish years ago, after breaking up with my ex, I spent 3 months on OkCupid saying yes to every guy who asked me out, unless he said something that made me think he was a creep or we had literally nothing in common. Anyways, ended up going out with probably 20-ish guys in the time period and every single one, except my now fiancé, went exactly like this. Me, asks questions about their life/likes/interests. Them, talks for 10 minutes and then stops. Me, says something about what they said to try and connect us. "Oh, you just moved here. I remember when I just moved it was tough. What brought you here?" Them, ignoring the connection and talking more about themselves. Also them, never ask me a single question. Like, why go on a date if you are not interested in learning about the other person at all?
Some people are just straight up oblivious on how to have an actual conversation where both parties involved are being engaged and heard. As others have mentioned, there's probably nervousness as well, or they were just looking to get laid, who knows. I do know that I took some lumps as a socially awkward guy in my early 20s. Raised in a small town, small school, graduated with like 48 other kids. And those types of environments don't really have a real big variety of people and cultures. You end up contained in a small circle consisting mainly of family, a few friends, and some neighbors and share a lot of common ground with them. But then you get out of school and out of your hometown and start hanging out in different places with different people. However, your social skills are still built to interact with the people you grew up around, and it can be easy to do or say something you and your regular group find innocuous. But these newer, different people you're around now might take offense or feel put off. Eventually, if you're not a doofus, you'll start to realize where you need to get better, as well as gaining a better understanding of things that could upset or bum out someone new you're getting to know. I honestly wouldn't mind going on a date with someone really passionate in something and I could be an active listener. I'm used to having to carry the conversation. I like when someone can go on for a long time about a topic they care about, but it's a separate issue entirely if you try to be involved and they ignore your contribution. If they can talk forever and I can include myself with tidbits when I want to, no problem, Talk for hours and I'll listen happily. If you're talking to hear your own voice and I could have been a brick wall, then what's the point?
Ghosting you, then suddenly popping up out of the blue when they want attention. Yes, Brittany, I know what is happening when you call me. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel and I resent the fuck out of being the bottom. Wait, that could mean another thing, but you know the thing I mean.
When they don't know the difference between being funny and being obnoxious.
Scanning this thread to find reasons why someone may have suddenly lost interest in me. We might have a winner here.
You joke, yet I heard this last night.
I think I have this problem. My dad and I have a very similar sense of humor, and after having to live with my parents for about a year I now realize how fucking obnoxious I can be, lol.
I'm sorry. I definitely need help in this category. Normally I just shut up to avoid this. I have the same problem. Best thing to do is pay attention to the room, learn what jokes/antics rub people wrong and make adjustments from there going further. It doesn't help you to just suppress yourself and your personality indefinitely, and I have learned that the hard way. My ex was like this. He also completely lacked self-awareness. So he would crack a really offensive, or inappropriate for the situation, joke, not catch on when it made everyone uncomfortable, and just drag it on trying to get a laugh while everyone becomes increasingly quiet wishing he would shut up. It was beyond painful to witness.
If they say the words I know I'm an asshole/bitch. Like okay, I'll take your word for it. Also if it becomes apparent that they have no self-awareness. When I've heard that, they usually say it like it's a character virtue.
They enjoy putting other people and their hobbies down.
I recently went out with a girl who was going to a D&D game after our date. She spent a significant amount of time negging me for being into D&D. It was very confusing.
Did you two play different editions or something?
Maybe she was a second edition purist.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Fucking Thack Zero Thoughts.
That's my hobby, why are you putting it down? Yes. How inconsiderate of them.
Don't know how to act in public/are unaware of feelings other than their own. Lack of situational awareness. Damn it, all of Reddit.
If all of their exes were toxic or crazy, we all have one or two bad ones, but seriously it's not always that. If it smells like shit wherever you go, you should check the bottoms of your shoes.
Everything looks like shit to someone with their head up their ass.
Unless the person actually consistently gets into relationships with really problematic people. But that's its own problem.
Good example being if they grew up in a toxic environment. It can take a long fucking time to be able to differentiate between toxicity and normal when toxicity is your normal. I am a great example of this. Now in my first non-toxic relationship at 32 and I have no idea what to make of things a lot of the time.
They're obsessed with their ex.
Yes, and people tend to have a painful lack of self-awareness about this. They immediately accuse others of being insecure when they're constantly bringing up their ex for no reason. Like if we're at Red Lobster, I don't need to know what your ex used to order. I don't need to know their favorite movie or really anything about them that doesn't relate to you in some way. It becomes really obvious when someone still has strong feelings for their ex, and it's sad when they're the only person who can't seem to see it.
Yeah, no lie, I'm still getting over my ex and I constantly have to pump my mental brakes to not bring her up on dates and while just generally hanging out with some friends. What makes it harder is that we share the same close friend group and she has clearly moved on much faster than me and is loving being single. Shit fucking hurts. Edit. To clear things up, my ex and I were friends for a little over 1.5 years before we started dating. In that time we grew really close and then decided to give us a try. After a few months we both realized it couldn't work and we broke up mutually. However, she was able to process the reasons for the breakup better than me. I honestly want only the best for her and she is a good person, but that doesn't mean my emotional side is ready to just accept the rational fact of why we broke up. I know that our separation was the best decision for both of us, but I still miss the connection that we had, and that is the part that weighs on me very hard.
Been there. Got divorced 2 years ago. I swear my ex had 6 relationships and an unknown amount of one-night stands before I ever went on a single date. Honestly, I can say I am definitely happier now. I can't watch her date other people, that still hurts. I hope she is happy, I really do, but I just can't watch it. We also have the same friend group, but it is more of they had the same friend group. I think I have hung out with those friends once in the last year. Divorced almost 5 years. Had one date and was like nope. Not ready now, may never be ready. Married for 19 years, 2 kids. He is with the girl he cheated on me with. Half his age, and they have a 2-year-old. He is 59 years old this year. I'm 45 and I'm still too damaged to move on.
I personally am not a fan of neglecting exes altogether. Like some people claim it's forbidden to mention an ex. Especially when talking emotions with your partner, I think it is good to talk about previous relationships as to understand where your partner comes from emotionally. In my last relationship that made all the difference in our communication. But other than that, constantly bringing up an ex suggests that they have not overcome the ex yet. Why on earth would you bring it up so randomly so often? At some point it's just weird.
Triangular flag on post. They won't play capture the flag? Minesweeper.
You sunk my battleship.
If they don't have a romantic interest in me.
Mine's similar in that if you don't show romantic interest I won't pursue a relationship. I once had a guy that told me he knew I was interested and was also interested. I asked why he never said anything because I got the impression that he was into another girl, which had me back off / start to lose interest, and he went, I wanted you to chase me. Yeah, that is now a red flag to me.
Wow, didn't know that those existed outside of high school. I've worked in restaurants for a few years now and all of the tables have at least one piece of gum under them. All of them.
If they ask how many cavities I have had throughout my life and then check my mouth like they're buying a horse. Edit, so a little story to go with it. I was working in a food distribution facility, in the produce department picking orders. She was an office worker, sales rep. She was a Chinese girl that managed all the Chinese accounts because she was the only one that can communicate with them and put their orders in properly, a tall leggy young woman. I had been to her place for a few friendly gatherings with her friends, no other co-workers. We decided to go out to dinner and through conversation at dinner we ended up at dentist and dentistry. That's when she asked the question about my cavities. I explained that I had cavity-prone teeth with weak enamel. That's when she wanted to see inside my mouth. She even said the word open when she couldn't get a good look at the molars on the top row. In my mind I think she was assessing the financial cost of taking me on as a boyfriend. After that exchange though, for me it was friends only.
What the hell happened here?
Well, they probably got burned on what they thought was an absolute steal on a Fresnian mare and they're afraid of that kind of commitment. Word to the wise, if your horse salesman keeps trying to change the subject when you ask about the creature's dental history, that's a, clapping, huge, clapping, red, clapping, flag, clapping.
But what if the horse is a gift?
Don't look it in the mouth. Such a bad idiom. Ever heard of the Trojan horse? Well, you wouldn't have if somebody had thought to check the damn mouth. It was a new friend that I tried to date before things settled into friends only. We were just talking when conversation settled on dentists. She even asked me to open like the dentist does when losing a sight line on a tooth. After that it was definitely friends only.
Dude thought the hygienist was flirting with him.
I, too, have stopped looking for love in the dentist's office.
Selfishness. I am very considerate of others and I am slowly learning that I think I need someone that is too.
I keep trying to figure out where the line is for being a doormat, or not speaking my mind, not being authentic, any number of oversteps that being aware of others could take me to. But actually there are a number of subtexts I've had people point out to me that I did not notice, so I'm not even sure if I can trust my own discretion about my awareness. It's a hell of an issue. Thanks for listening, huh?
Same. Something that has helped me a ton recently is a channel I stumbled on called Charisma on Command. More specifically, their vids like how to speak up / be a leader without coming off as a jerk, that kind of thing. The approach they use is super insightful. They mostly hit things that are subtle but super impactful. Many of their videos use celebrity interviews or television characters as examples, so you have a live example of the behavior. Anyway, helped me a lot, hope this helps someone else here, too.